Welcome once again to Ascension Healing Fellowship. Super excited that you're here. Super excited that you're taking part in this dynamic fellowship and listening to yet another message. I'm Pastor Bob, and I'm the pastor here, and super excited to have you. Today, we're going to be diving into peace and peace that passes all understanding. And we're going to be just kind of diving into it from a couple of, from a kind of a different vantage point, if you will, because it's funny because the more people I talk to on planet Earth, the more I realize that there's a lot of different ways that people try to find peace. And it's a journey. And honestly, I think that really is the journey to the kingdom within. And I'll talk about some really good resources for that later on if you'd like. But for now, what I'd really like to do is just ask you to kind of meditate on one real simple question. Where's my peace, man? Where's my peace? It's just that simple. Where is my peace? Where is my peace? So, as you have that question kind of rolling around in your mind, what I'd like you to do is just stop for a minute. And our meditation is just simply this. Breathe in, peace I leave you. Breathe out, peace that passes all understanding. We're going to breathe in, peace I leave you. Hold for a couple of seconds. Peace that passes all understanding. Peace I leave you. Peace that passes all understanding. Tell you, every time I do that particular meditation, it's really kind of hard to come off of it sometimes. It's a crazy world, isn't it? It's a crazy, crazy world. Today, we're going to be kind of flipping back and forth, but I want to start us off with something from Proverbs. Proverbs, as you may or may not know, is also called the wisdom book. And basically what Proverbs is a lot of wisdom, in case you missed the memo there. Proverbs 22 and verse 2. 2. Proverbs 22 and verse 2. The wealthy and the poor share a common bond. Yahweh is the creator of us all. The divine is the creator of us all. The wealthy and the poor share a common bond. Yahweh is the creator of us all. Then, what I'd like to do, is flip over to Luke 20. Luke chapter 20, verses 1 through 8. One day, as Jesus was teaching the people in the temple and proclaiming the good news, the chief priests and religious scholars, together with the elders, approached him and said, "Tell us, by what authority you are doing these things? Who authorized you?" Jesus replied, "And I'll ask you a question. John's baptism, did it come from heaven or from mortals?" The religious leaders discussed this question among themselves and concluded, if we answer from heaven, he'll answer, then why didn't you believe him? But if we answer from mortals, all the people will stone us, for they believe that John was a prophet. So they said they didn't know where it came from. Jesus said, then I won't tell you by what authority I do these things. You gotta love somebody that just makes it so simple, don't you? I mean, just so simple. And it's interesting to me, when you look at the religious leaders, whether they were Pharisees or Sadducees, both groups were concerned with the external. For the Pharisees, the external was about the law, legalism, looking right. For the Sadducees, it was about politically looking right. So both of them were about power, only in a different way. And Jesus flipped it on its head, because the good news that we're going to talk about in just a moment. One more story I would like to read, and that comes from Matthew, Matthew 25, starting in verse 1. Then again, the kingdom of heaven could be likened to 10 attendants who took their lamps and went to meet the bridal party. 5 of them were wise, 5 were foolish. When the foolish ones took their lamps, they didn't take any oil with them, but the wise ones took enough oil to keep their lamps burning. The bridal party was delayed, so they all fell asleep. At midnight, there was a cry, "Here comes the bridal party! Let's go out and meet them." Then all of the attendants rose and trimmed their lamps. In other words, turned their lamps on. The foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps have gone out." But the wise replied, "Perhaps there won't be enough for us. Run to the dealers and get some for yourselves." While the foolish ones went out to buy more oil, the bridal party arrived, and those who were ready went to the marriage feast with them. And the door was shut. When the foolish attendants returned, they pleaded to be let in. The doorkeeper replied, "The truth is, I don't know you." So by the end of this message, by the end of this talk, I'd like you to be able to answer a few questions. Number one, what is the way that the Ascension Healing Fellowship espouses? What is the way, essentially, that AHF, Ascension Healing Fellowship, discusses? What is it that I believe that I share with you every Sunday? Number two, what was the good news? That's the real question, isn't it? Number three, why does this matter? And number four, what do we do about it? Excuse me. Countless scriptures point to one inalterable fact, one reality, if you will, again and again and again and again. There is a divine being, and that divine being made all. 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 You, me, the rich, the poor, the pauper, the king, everyone, everything, all was made by this divine being. Now, I might ask, why does that matter? Well, number one, because equality. Because there's no one higher or lower. And Jesus took great pains to make sure that everyone understood that, to include how he just talked to the Pharisees in that little bit. He said, okay, well, then I don't have to tell you this. Jesus was a master at creating equality. And we talked about this in several weeks, about the Good Samaritan, about all of these different stories and story after story where the equality was there. The equality was always there with Jesus from the standpoint of no one is higher or lower in the kingdom. We're all divine children of the divine one. Why does this matter? It matters because God is love. The divine is love. And that matters greatly, as we're going to see throughout this message. The divine being love, and better than that, perfect love, makes all the difference in the universe, literally. And the last one is the big plan. It matters that we're all created by the one divine because there is this huge plan that I'm really excited to talk to you about every day. And it seems like we hint on it and talk about it pretty much every week because once you understand the big plan, the good news becomes really good, and you love it, right? Because this is good news, not just, good news, Dallas Cowboys won, whatever the case may be, right? This is great news. This is the kind of news that leaves you with peace that passes all understanding. Peace through rest in love. This is what I want to dive into. Peace through rest in love. When your rest is in love that is bigger than you can comprehend, that is more immense than you can possibly fathom, when your peace is there, when your rest is there, your peace passes all understanding of any critic to include your inner critic. What if the next time your inner critic, your inner Pharisee, as one of my dear brothers likes to say, your inner Pharisee, what if the next time that inner Pharisee said something, you could say, you know what? I reckon I'm just going to rest in the idea that perfect love really is perfect and all things are working together for my good. Do I live in that reality? Absolutely not. The heat just keeps getting hotter. And that's the beautiful thing, because that's where faith grows. That's where faith grows. The lion's den, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Again, we've been through all of these stories before. The stories they're there to let us see faith. If you want to see faith growth, look at the early life of David. Look at the early life of David and follow that story. Look at the slaves leaving Israel. Look at the life of Christ. Look at so much. Everything points to that one reality, that one concept, that one idea that you have to be resting in the right place. And the right place is that perfect love is in control of it all. Now, do I understand why things happen? No, of course not. Absolutely not. A lot of times we don't. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we can hem and haw about it. But at the end of the day, no, we really don't. But with the idea that perfect love loves you with love beyond human comprehension, you can have peace in every situation. Now, you might get off the reservation there for a minute. You might kind of get, over here, over there. But you can always dial it back. You can always come back to that one center point. And that's what I have to do a lot these days. A whole lot. And the last one is when you believe and then when you put your rest in perfect love beyond human comprehension, when you do that, you see that all is for you, even when it looks like it's absolutely against you. Think on that one. So, good news? Good news? Well, let's talk about some different good news. Here's the religious good news. Shut up and color. Shut up and color. We know the right laws. We will slap you if you don't do them right. So shut up and color. Where's your peace? Peace, true peace, can be in one of two things. Number one, that peace could be in your performance. Do you have bad days sometimes? Let me give you a hint. If your peace is in your performance, then your peace is going to suck on those days. It's just not even going to be there. Not even going to be there. It's not there. But if your peace is in perfect love, if your peace is in that love that we talked about, could that be real good news? Could that be the kind of good news that just sets your whole life apart? Could that be the kind of good news that when a snake bites you like it did Paul, he just picks up the snake, throws it in the fire, goes, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. If I'm going to live, I'm going to live. But that's up to that being. That's up to the divine. That's not up to some snake. Could it be like that? Now, am I suggesting you go out and get bit by a snake? No. But I'm just suggesting that you live in the reality of the peace, or I'm sorry, in the faith of the peace, that there is a divine being who's perfect love. And that perfect love embraces you. Now, let me say this because some people, heard some of the things that I've said earlier. This is not knowledge-based, it's faith-based. And there is a world of difference in knowledge-based and faith-based. A world of difference. So let me just kind of try to cover that for a second. Knowledge-based says, this I know, and I must fight to tell everybody about it and defend it. Again, we get back to a performance-based life instead of a rest in perfect love-based life. Just saying, you might want to consider that. You might want to consider that. So, good news. Let's talk about the fear factor. So, the fear factor, take away or add to. Yeah, this is a challenging one, right? Because when we talk about take away or add to, we're talking about the idea that does this take the fear away from us or does it add to it? Here's this idea of this divine being who's supposed to be perfect love, but they're going to send 85 to 95% of the creation that they made into an eternal lake of fire. Does that add to your peace? Because it didn't mine. Let me tell you, I recommitted my life. That's what we called it in the Southern Baptist dogma. I recommitted my life so many times it would blow your mind. And I mean, I walked down aisles, I said prayers, and all that. Did all that stuff multiple times because it didn't take away my fear as perfect love does. Perfect love drives away all fear. What fear is left by perfect love? What fear is left? What fear is left? Jesus didn't want to go through the pain, but once he realized, it had to happen, and it had to happen the way that it did, he accepted the pain, and he went through that pain. Did he have some fear? Yeah, he had some initial fear, but he grew through that. He grew faith through that. Remember, he wasn't perfect by law, by legal standards he wasn't. He was perfect by faith. What was the first message to everyone? Again, I've talked about this before, but I want to make sure we drive it home, especially with this. The first message to everyone in the Christmas story was simply this: don't be afraid. It's all okay. And again, does this which good news really resonates with you? The one that causes you to perform better and to try harder? Or the one that just says, no, just rest. Just rest. It's all good. Because you see, only one is transformative. And here's the difference. There's a transactional God. My son came and died for you, so I could love you. Because basically I'm a cosmic asshole. That's what we're basically essentially saying. Is that there is this God who is transactional, who wouldn't even love you if his son wouldn't have died for you. Wow, that sucks. And the only people that are going to make it are the ones that checked all the boxes and did all these things. Here's a little secret. All are at the table. And when I say all are at the table, they really are at the table, which leaves us in a really great position. Why? Because there are people that we struggle with loving, whether that's a particular label, like we talked about last week, or whether that's a particular wrong that they've done to us. But you know what it does when we go, I need to grow through that because they're going to be at the table with me. We're all at the table. We're all children of the divine. You know what that causes? That causes healing, my friend, my brother, my sister. That causes healing because we have to go within and say, why does that bother me so much? Why do I struggle so much to accept that? Maybe there's part of me that needs to heal from something. Just a thought. So, where is your peace? Where's your peace? Is it in performance? Performance? Or is it in perfect love? Performance from who? Performance of who? You see, if my peace passes all understanding, it's in the performance of what Christ did on the cross. Not that he died so God would love me, but he died to show me how perfect the love of the divine is, how perfect the love of God is. The love of God is so perfect that they would literally die so that death would no longer have any power over you. And they wanted to show you that. They wanted to show you that so that you would rest even upon your last exhale here. You're going to go, it's all good. I'm just going to another level. It's good. Does that mean I'm going to do that? That means I'm growing. My last lessons and my last exhale. Perfect love from whom? Is it really perfect love if they've got a big stick and they're going to beat you to death? Again, we're going to go visit the fear factor. Does this idea, the idea that all are at the table, the idea that all have been made perfect by one example of love beyond human comprehension, all have been made perfect in that they're never going to die because death was conquered by the love of the divine. All are at the table. Does that give you more fear or less? Again, where is your peace? The fear factor. Where is your fear level now with this idea? If you really rest in this idea, where does your fear level go to? Think on that for a minute. In Matthew 25, 1 through 13, it talks about the virgins or the bridal party, the attendees that had gone out. Half of them carried plenty of oil and the other half didn't. Half of them had grown, half of them had gone within, and half of them were prepared for that wedding feast because they had faith in the idea that faith was like the oil in their lamp. That faith kept the light lit during the darkest night. That faith kept the lamp bright during the most challenging moments, the moments of waiting for the divine lover. Think on that for a minute. The foolish didn't have enough, so they wanted to borrow some. Well, now what do? Now they're running about, they're worried, they're scared, they're in fear because they don't have enough, so they have to go try and buy some. And by the time they get back, it's like, I don't know you. I have no idea who you are. Faith is like a muscle. It has to be built. So, building that faith muscle, what do we do now? What now? With all this information, what now? Well, here's the first question I would ask you is, where is your unpeace? Where is the part of you that's not at peace? What does that look like? What does that look like? What is it that causes restlessness in you? What is it that is not at ease in you? Why are you feeling this? And what are you willing to do about it? What is it that causes restlessness in you? Is there something from your past? Is there some belief that you have? Is there some idea that's holding you back? Maybe, just maybe, you need to dive into that. A wonderful book, and this is the resource I really wanted to mention, is called Higher Self. I've got the name of it. We'll try and post a link to it. Higher Self is a great book. Another resource I want to mention, and that's on YouTube. And I will definitely get this link and make sure that it gets posted. That is a talk called "Everything Is Spiritual" by Rob Bell, and I hope you'll look at it. Rob Bell is a pastor who I deeply respect. Has some wonderful information out there. So, what are you going to do now? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to go on a journey? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get to peace that passes all understanding? That's really the only question you need to answer. Are you willing to do whatever it takes, whatever journey you've got to go on within to get to peace that passes all understanding? Are you willing? Are you? Are you willing to find your resting place? Are you willing to grow even into the moment that you pass? I've said it before and I'll say it again. My last lesson's on my last exhale. And because of that, I'm willing to go in, because I found at one point in my life I had to go within. I absolutely had to. I didn't have an option. So, hope you'll think about this. I hope you'll write to us if you need help on your journey. I'm going to leave some resources in the notes below, like Rob Bell's talk and the book that I was talking about called Higher Self. And I'll leave a link to that. It's on Amazon, I know that much. But I'll leave a link to those two things, and hopefully you can take a look at those and see if you think that would benefit you. But whatever the case may be, if you just need to chat, you need to talk to somebody, you need to say, hey, we'll leave my email address as well, and get in touch with one of us. There's several of us at the fellowship who would love to be able to help you in any way that we can, because that's what we're here to do. So remember this: you are loved by perfect love beyond human comprehension, and that will never change, because that perfect love is from the divine, of whose DNA you were created. Of whose DNA you were created. Go spread that for good news this week. Love you guys. We'll chat soon.